You guys know I always tell beginners to stay away from the clothing, shoes and jewelry category because it's a category that is a little bit more tricky than the other ones like beauty, like stuff like that when you begin, because of a lot of reasons. But at the same time, I told you guys that when I was doing retail arbitrage, I did a lot of clothing, shoes and jewelry. And right now that I'm doing online arbitrage, I'm still doing a lot of, lately I've been doing a lot of clothing, shoes and jewelry because of the higher price point, which justify the prep cost when you deduct the sales tax, right? Like it's way easier to make it profitable. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 4 tips to allow you to make less mistake when you source clothing, shoes and jewelry. But before we actually start, this video was requested by Murshad on the Discord server, so thank you for requesting this video. And yes, join the Discord server. We have a Discord server link in the description as usual. Best place to ask any questions you may have regarding selling on Amazon. Best place to meet a strong community to help you grow in your Amazon business. So just join the link in the description, join the Discord server, come and go with us. All right, so let's go straight to the first tip. And the first tip is going to be, you need to be good at determining sales velocity when there's a lot of variation on the listing. Because on clothing, you're going to have a lot of size. Sometimes you're going to have a lot of colors as well. So you can have like hundreds of variation on the listing. I made a whole video on how to, use Keepa and like really determine the sales velocity. I'll link it here if I forget. Remind me in the comments. Or just look at my videos, look at my previous videos on Keepa, on sourcing, watch them all. Watch all my live sourcing videos where I actually break down how I determine the sales velocity. And I have a video called Sales Rank is a Lie. This is the one that you should check. I give you a lot of ways to determine if a variation is selling or not. It's not just about the sales rank. It's not just about the percentage of review a specific listing, as it goes way deeper into like there's way more stuff that you can do to make sure that your listing is selling, that your variation is selling, and that you should do actually to make sure, especially when you do clothing and when you do shoes, because if not, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So you need first to become really good at determining sales velocity. All right. Number 2, you're going to need to scan a lot of stuff with tactical arbitrage when it comes to clothing. Now, when it comes to shoes, it's a different story, because with shoes, tactical arbitrage is not that good. With shoes, you're not going to have a lot of match. When it comes to clothing, to apparel, it's a whole different story. You're going to have way more matches, and this is, I think, the easier way to actually build a big catalog of apparel items, of clothing items. It's to use tactical arbitrage. If you do it manually, it's going to be long. But with the shoes, I believe it's worth it to actually learn the brand, learn the models. For example, if you sell Nike, know which models of shoes are selling fast, which model of shoes you should look at when they go on sale and stuff on some websites, stuff like that. But for clothing, once again, tactical arbitrage is your best friend. Tip number 3, be aware of return rates. And I know people say, and most of the time you hear that people say that the return rates on clothing, shoes and jewelry on the whole category is crazy and you need to factor that in. The truth is that it depends on each subcategory. So for example, swimsuits, you guys know I sold a lot of swimsuits in the past, right? And so swimsuit, the return rate is crazy high, above 20%. So you need to put that in if you sell a lot of Speedo, if you sell a lot of Nike swimsuit, if you sell a lot of, it depends. And it's further breakdown into like the swimsuit that people use for competition and the swimsuit like bikinis and stuff that people use at the beach. You really need to know your category, because the return rates is going to be different for every single one of them. For example, kids clothes, there's way less return, almost no return for baby clothes. In my experience, in what I've sold, almost no return for baby clothes. Kids clothes, really low return rate as well. Swimsuits, super high. Socks, usually not a lot of returns as well. And like, it really depends. You really need to experiment with every single one of those subcategories, like small niches, sub-niches, and really be able to determine what the return rate is going to be, to basically be able to forecast like what minimum return on investment you should go for, what minimum profit you should go for each product, each category. Now, As I said, it really depends. You need to experiment, test a lot of stuff. And you can also, one thing you can also do, actually, this is what I wanted to say. One thing you can do is look at benchmark. For example, if you want to sell swimsuit, look for benchmark online, type swimsuit return benchmark, and you're going to find some stuff. You can have an idea of how much returns you can get with that specific category before you actually start going deep into those stuff. Really start by testing. Figure it out for every single type of clothing item, for every single categories of shoes, because it's going to be different for cleats, for example, than it's going to be different like for sneakers, like casual sneakers. It really depends on all. There's going to be small difference in all those things, right? So look into all that, and we're going to talk about the last tips. Right now, I'm going to give you my last tips, which is to avoid, to really make sure that you are in the clothing, shoes, and jewelry category, because sometimes clothing will be listed in the sports and outdoors, I believe it is called the sports and outdoor category. And one thing that you need to know is that the sports and outdoor category, like items, sells way slower than in the clothing, shoes, and jewelry category. Sometimes you can see something that is 20,000 rank, like it's going to sell way slower than what you expected, because you did not see that it was in the sports and outdoors category. Because 20,000 in the clothing, shoes, and jewelry category is super great. It's not as great at all in the sports and outdoor category. Like if you go to the 100,000s in the sports and outdoor categories, it's going to be super, super slow. It's just a few sales a month, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think it's something like that. But yeah, make sure that you are really in the clothing, shoes, and jewelry category and not the sports and outdoors. If you are in the sports and outdoor, I'm not saying that you should not sell items in that category, but be aware of it and use junglescout.com/estimator to make sure that you know pretty much how much how many times your item is going to sell a month. All right, so that's it for today's video. Because it's going to rain, you hear the roosters in the back. It's time for me to go. Watch these other videos if you want to keep learning about selling on Amazon. Join the Discord server, like this video, subscribe, do all that stuff. And yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, thank you for watching.